And now we're live.
Hello.
Hello.
La la la. Hello all. Welcome. It is
Saturday.
It's so weird.
New
It
Year's
is Saturday.
Eve. New Year's Eve.
Okay. Yeah. It's Generational Change. I'm Jen.
I'm Peter. And we were having serious connection problems. So we decided to hop out.
And then we're
came back in, but I didn't actually add myself to the stream. So got a little concerned. But you know, that happens from time to time. And so for those of you that are coming over from Status Coup, the long stream, could call that the long stream. That's a long stream.
And you know what? Kudos to you that were there the whole time. Yes. But most likely people come in, they go out, they come in. Like I was in there a few times before we were on there, you know. But if for those of you who've been around for hours,
just kind of wanted to keep up to speed with like everything that was going on and everything. And if you guys are watching on Twitter, please join us on YouTube. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure that you potentially want to become a member. You know,
it could help. It could help.
Because what is it that we do on this show?
We transform politics into service.
That's right. Third year, going into the fourth.
And I tell you, people, it's Sisyphean.
Sisyphean.
It is a Sisyphean task, I tell you.
What does that have to do with Sisyphus? What does that have to do with it?
What are you talking about? Do you not know what Sisyphus is?
No, I'm not going to pretend like I do.
Sisyphus was the pushing the boulder up the hill. Like you're just pushing a boulder up a hill and the boulder keeps rolling back down and you're pushing the boulder. So it's like...
So kind of like defeating the whole purpose.
That's what
Fair enough. So for those of you who are obviously paying attention to the Status Coup News live stream, we just wrapped and we had the privilege of speaking for the first time in a long time with Gabriel Shipton, Julian Assange's brother. There is no question that one of the big hot topics going into 2024 is going to be Julian Assange's freedom or lack thereof.
And it's February is when the hearing is coming up. That's basically the final hearing to see if they can get the appeal.
Ariana, welcome to Generational Change.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to have you. Thank you so much.
But yeah, so, and it is a big deal. And you know what? And it was good to see Gabriel. And I know, like, you know, we had the privilege of meeting him in person, him and his dad, and just talking to them. And it's just, these are just, I don't know how to explain this. These are just regular people who are just, and kind of like small town kind of vibe people. Like these are just regular people who have been thrust into dealing with this nightmare.
They have amazing disposition, though, I have to say. You know, their attitude has been one of, we're on the right side of this, kind of like how you can even begin to wrap your mind around the positive nature of the Palestinian people in spite of all that's going on right now, because they know they're on the right side of history, no matter how this ends and how long it takes. They know that what's happening to them is wrong and that people are fighting on their behalf. And so with that being said, we do have a lot of issues that clearly we would have to address, but I think
a lot of issues with
yes,
people.
Yes, got a lot of. Do you have a prediction for 2024?
In terms of?
What's going to happen in the political landscape? Could be Julian Assange. It could be the presidential race. Could be anything.
You know what? I'm predicting more revolution. I'm predicting that it's just going to start to get worse and worse. I think what's going on in Cop City is going to be spreading around the country to different places. I think that they're already in the works in other places. I think we're going to start seeing infinitely more authoritarianism. And by the way, that's globally. That's not something that I think is specific here. We're seeing a significant increase of authoritarianism, and it's masked in different ways. It's not the same in every place, but it is to some extent all authoritarianism. I think that's going to be increasing, and there's going to be an increased movement to stifle the resistance. And I think it's going to be testing and trying. And I think we just have to sort of stay strong. We love you, Double K. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Double.
But I think we just need to stay strong in the resistance with it. But I think it's going to be harder and get worse before it can get better. And the fact that there are so many things like Cop City going up is a sign of the prediction of civil unrest, which, you know, go figure. People are unhappy because... you know what?
But it's always going to get worse before it gets better.
But you know what, though? I feel like we are reaching a point of like this.
The night is darkest just before the dawn.
Well, it's that. And there's this culmination of things happening like a perfect storm. And that's why when we were just talking about that on Status Coup, about what would happen if Julian Assange does get extradited and he is in fact brought over here. And what I'm picturing in my head is that there will be a revolution in front of the Eastern District of Virginia that will be like start to rival that of what was the March for Palestine in DC. And those movements between those things and the labor movement and what's going on in terms of toxic poisoning in places like Flint and Kalamazoo, like people, East Palestine, like these people are all starting to see the connection in the oppression.
Doesn't matter if you vote red or blue.
They're seeing it, and they're seeing the connection. And when I was at the Stop Cop City protest weekend that they had in Atlanta, and by the way, there's always something going on. So I encourage anybody, if you're ever in the Atlanta area, find out what sort of Cop City actions are going on for that day and contribute and participate in any way you can. But there is a very, very strong connection between the movements that is coalescing right now. And whether you look at someone like Sean Fain, as you know, the president of the UAW coming out and demanding a ceasefire, and not just calling for a ceasefire, they actually called for, there were other points that they were asking for in regards to what's going on in Palestine. And so that link there, and the link between Palestine and Cop City, and it's all connected. And I think every time another link in that web is built, we're getting stronger and stronger. And so while I do think that 24 is definitely set up to also be like a complete shit show, it's going to be more, it's going to be more of the connections being built between those movements, because those movements need to all come together. And that's the revolution.
Yeah.
So I think that, definitely they're anticipating a lot of unrest.
And that's the whole point.
I feel very unrestful.
Yeah, and how could you not? I mean, even if you're living in a relatively comfortable situation, you can't be that naive to what's really going on, and you can't continue to ignore it. You can't expect that your quaint existence is just going to protect you from everything that's going on out there.
Some people's it does.
Well, sure, I understand that.
I know a lot of people that are happy in their bubble, and they don't want to get out.
Hey, look at that. Appreciate you, brother.
A lot of people are very happy in their little willfully ignorant bubble. And that's just the truth. And it's choosing to be ignorant.
Which is also why they react so volatilely when it's pierced in any way, shape, or form. Which is why you have, as I was showing Jen earlier today, that I had just come across a video of Chelsea Handler sitting with Noah Tishby complaining about how, now the narrative has changed regarding Israel-Palestine. It's, no, we love the Palestinian people. We just hate Hamas, so we have to continue doing what we're doing. That's not going to fly. And you're setting in motion these monumental changes that are coming to this country. Now, my prediction for 24 is similar. I do think we are slowly but surely moving towards the direction of revolution. I think if they do extradite Assange to America, that might be the tipping point. That might finally break the dam, because most people are on board with this. You were even pointing something out that I didn't even realize when Gabriel was speaking about who may be overseeing this situation with Julian Assange.
What do you mean? What did I point out? Because now I feel like, what did I say?
That the Judicial Committee is going to be overseeing?
Well, that's what he said, is that Gabriel had said that there is something coming through the Judiciary Committee, and regarding Assange, regarding a resolution for, to stop the prosecution of Assange. But I just quickly turned to you and said, that's interesting, of course, because we know our esteemed Congresswoman sits on the Judiciary Committee. Yeah,
and if there's one thing that Wasserman Schultz likes to do is wield her power in the most nefarious ways possible. So if she can drive a stake through the heart of Julian Assange at the expense of starting a revolution, she would love that opportunity. She would definitely revel in that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I guess we would kind of say thank you in that regard. Thank you for starting what's inevitably going to happen.
No, I don't want that to have to be.
No, we don't want it to have to happen. But you look around and you realize that throughout human history, through the days of Genghis Khan, the Roman Empire, the British Empire, Nazi Germany, the pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. At some point, you realize that you've bitten off more than you can chew, and now you're going to pay the price. Is there ever going to be a true enlightened period in American history? I don't know. In terms of electoral politics, I'll make two predictions. There will be one significant victory, and there will be one significant loss.
That's okay, but that almost sounds like a fortune cookie that could be true.
I think somebody's going to win either a congressional seat or a Senate seat that's going to be of great importance. And I think one of the people that's currently sitting in Congress right now that, you could debate whether they actually are doing anything of true value and making a difference. One of them is going to get knocked off. I do believe that AIPAC will get their way with at least one of the current sitting members of Congress.
I mean, statistically speaking, you throw enough money at something's going to break through.
The one person who I say is not going to bite the bullet is going to be Rashida Tlaib.
I don't think so either.
I think that she is too bold and too protected by her people that even though she's basically telling Biden to go fuck himself in 24, and you would think under normal circumstances that the party machine would move heaven and earth to get one of their members out, I don't think it's going to work for Rashida. I think she's always been the one member of the squad who I always felt really had that I'm an independent streak. Like, I'm going to do what's necessary that's right, even if it means I'm going to be at odds with my party. And
what they're doing to Ilhan in her district is going to be very interesting, because apparently the Democrats went out and found themselves another Black Somali woman.
Of course. And if you pay them, if you shove enough money up their ass, there's no telling what they'll say.
Right. So it's sort of like you find someone who has the same identity politics as the popular person and just assume that that'll just work.
But therein lies
and it very well might.
It might, but therein lies the big difference between what happened with Rashida and what happened with Ilhan. They both attempted to knock them off in the previous election cycle. Ilhan was able to skate very, very slightly by.
In the last primary.
In the last primary. It was very close. Whereas with Rashida, she won very comfortably.
Yeah.
So as a result, it'll be interesting to see what eggs they put into their basket. But there's no question that they want Rashida Tlaib. That's whose head they want on a speaker.
Because we can't stand and abide having one Palestinian voice out of 535 people. We can't have that.
No.
That's just way too incendiary, and oh my God, and it offends me, and clearly that they want to genocide all the Jews, and so we can't possibly have a Palestinian voice in Congress.
And speaking of which, who were we speaking with on Tuesday? Special Tuesday live stream. We will be off New Year's Day, as we probably should be anyway. But Tuesday, 12 p.m., special live generational change. We will be speaking with Hill Harper, candidate for the U.S. Senate in Michigan. Hill Harper was approached by a major Israel lobby donor to run against Rashida Tlaib.
They offered him $20 million.
That's our understanding. We'll get more information on that as we speak with him, but it just goes to show you, first, kudos to Mr. Harper.
For calling it out. And you know what? That is a change in times right here.
I agree.
That people are calling out the behind-the-scenes stuff, it seems like in real time.
Yes.
Like, I love that.
No, I definitely agree. And
yes, you do, Teresa. You do have a T-shirt coming in the mail, but I emailed you. You need to send me your snail mail, Addie, on Patreon. That was the one thing that's holding me up. And Danny and I'm losing my mind. And a guy speaking.
Well, don't lose your mind.
Oh my God, guy speaking. Chip, they can blame you for the holdup. So I'm going to check and make sure to see if you responded to me. But yes, you will be getting your shirt.
Jonathan, we definitely agree that the whole West Stein dynamic is not good. Not good.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. There'll be different points of ballot access potentially.
There will, and that's the whole
So
thing.
it might not. I don't think it's going to be that. That's really what the problem is. Like, and as everyone knows, as of right now, I am a supporter of Dr. Cornel West. That is who I contribute to, because that is the mission and the message that I want to keep promoting. However, being somebody who lives in Florida, I recognize that may or may not actually exist on my ballot. I don't know. And so, but I do believe but our Green Party will be on our ballot. So like,
yes.
if I'm, voting and Dr. West is not on my ballot, then I'm going to vote Green. So, but they're not splitting. There's no splitting of the vote.
Danny, you're the man. Thank you very much. And there is the one thing that the left is not good at, and we've been over this many times before, generally speaking, the left sucks at strategy. They're not good at it.
No.
They don't know how to share the pie. This is one thing that the political right is really good at. Now, granted, it's very enlightening to see even the likes of, obviously, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens being the two most noted people in the political right, independent media circles that have basically told Ben Shapiro to go fuck himself with what's happening in Israel-Palestine. Because Ben Shapiro is maybe the biggest Zionist in all of any form of media space right now. I mean, he really is championing the genocide. Like, he's all for it.
If I can tell you, like, to me, he is so representative of like what I grew up around. Like, that to me is like, I knew thousands of Ben Shapiros growing up. Like, that is like, I'm telling you, that's the reality.
Listen, I had my reasons. I totally understand if you don't agree with where I stand, but I'm telling you right now, the Israeli people need to be protected, and we must eliminate Palestine, all the people that are there that are not Israeli. They have to be eliminated, and we have to take their homes. Understand? That's what's going to happen, and we'll do it in either peacefully or violently.
People like
Jews.
him are the reason I believe that we're having such an anti-Semitism problem.
100%. How could you not?
And people like our congresswoman, it's like when you just come off as so nasty and vile and bigoted, and it's not a good look. And so, we of all Jews, we have got to be fighting against this connection with the Zionism, because it's going to take us all down. I don't want to be affiliated with that shit.
The one thing I will say, Jonathan, regarding the Green Party is that, yes, they need to get to the 5% threshold in order to become any type of a formidable party. They had that opportunity with Dr. West. Now, I don't care what anybody says. Dr. West only left the Greens because whatever they were doing to basically keep him down, if you will, he was not going to stand for it. And I don't blame him, because we've heard stories for years and years and years in terms of the inter-party politics within the Green Party.
The truth is, party politics in general. And I completely am very supportive of the idea, even with RFK, the idea of people running independent is great. We need to be as supportive as possible.
He's right. And that's a big part of it. And what I have often said, and I do believe that this is the case, why so many people talk about the fact that the biggest, the most significant population of Zionists in the United States are evangelicals. They're number one.
Yeah, and people need to understand this. And this is true. There are more evangelical Christian Zionists in the United States than there are Jews, period, in the world. Think about that. There are more Christian evangelical Zionists in this country than there are Jews in the world.
Yeah.
So when we talk about Zionism, we really need to start separating more and more and more from that for any of us who were in any way affiliated. But this is not going to just go away.
No. And the one candidate who is likely to get full ballot access is RFK. And because RFK is attached literally at the butt and the hip to Rabbi Shmuel.
Yeah, he's unless he gets,
it's so obvious that
he has to get right on this issue.
When RFK talks about Israel, he's basically a mouthpiece for Rabbi Shmuel. Like, he really is.
Well, that's who's giving him his talking points. But 100%. I'm not sure when that relationship started. It's interesting. Like, for all I know, they knew they were friends forever. I don't know that, but he definitely dug in there after being like accused of being anti-Semitic by our congresswoman, amongst other people, for his comment about COVID, which was completely not anti-Semitic, even remotely. Don't mind my son. He drives an old Honda Element that used to be my parents'. It's a family car. Don't.
Man,
he's leaving. So no, it's not. It's a great car. So
any Honda's a great car, to be honest.
And it's a 2003.
Let's put it this way.
Honda Element, and it was my parents, and because of that, it's like my kid treasures this car.
Let's put it this way: if you can't get 250,000 miles out of a Honda, you're doing it wrong. Because you should be able to do that.
It's orange too, yes. which is just great. But so no, I mean, RFK has got to get correct on this issue, or it will be the end.
Yeah.
This is going to be the hill that these people are going to die on.
It's true. And what's great is that, as you guys probably observed in our chat, we have a plethora of people all across different political spectrums. And yet we tend to have heavy agreement on a lot of these very important issues.
Well, this is my concept. The question from Party Hat is, did RFK fraternize with Epstein? My understanding is that he and his wife and children used that plane as transport a couple of times, and that was it.
Here's the thing. If RFK lied about being on Epstein's plane.
No, that would already be public information. Yeah, we would already know.
He's not going to be able to hide it.
No. We know the manifests are we would already know. No, my understanding is he was on the plane a couple times. I have not heard any allegations of him ever being to the island.
Yeah.
And my understanding was that the plane, all that they did was they flew down from wherever in, Waspville they're from, down here to, to West Palm Beach, Hyannisport, down to West Palm.
Yes.
to be with the wasps down here, so it was like a wasp transport.
Well, that's what Palm Beach is.
Right. So
the Jewish enclaves of South Florida are two places.
I don't
North
think
end
he
is Boca
necessarily,
Raton, the South end is Miami Beach.
I don't think he necessarily played with Jeffrey Epstein.
No, and you know what? The one thing about RFK is that he doesn't need to do that.
No.
He was a ladies' man, if there ever was one. He has had dozens upon dozens of conquests, maybe hundreds and hundreds of conquests.
Good for him.
Good for him, I guess. Hey, listen, if men want to do it, if women want to do it, go ahead. As long as you're safe, do whatever you want.
Shit, man. If I was a single man like that, I'm telling you, I would be aiming for Will Chamberlain numbers.
No, I wouldn't do that. That's crazy.
I just think, no judgment is the point. I don't care what people. So, but I think, if he could get right on this, but I don't know. No.
And again, the only reason we talk about RFK in this capacity is because I still doubt, and I really do, whether it's because he's running as an independent or because his finances are not even a fraction of what RFK's are. I don't believe Dr. Cornel West is going to get on the ballot in the states that he needs to get on the ballot on. And on top of not being able to whether get the signatures or have the financial capacity in order to do it, the corporate establishment has made it very clear. Look at what they're doing to Trump. Look what they're now doing to RFK. They will do everything in their capacity to ensure that the democratic process ceases to exist. They talk about Trump ending democracy. They're ending it now.
Well, actually, I would suggest that every single corporate whore in Congress that says something like we should be scared of Trump ending democracy should look at their bank accounts and where their money's coming from, because that is what has ended democracy.
If you look at the money that was going to Ukraine and all of the slush funds that have been created, and the fact that all of the major private equity firms and hedge funds that are getting their hands on all of this money.
Hence why our congresswoman made 64% return on investment.
And again, the other thing about whether it's Debbie or any of these other people, they have these private accounts that you cannot account for. You have no idea how this stuff works. It's like Kirsten Sinema. It's like you look at her actions and you think, there's no way this person's on the level. There's no way she's not getting her wheels greased somehow, some way. Whether it's in the Caymans, whether it's in Delaware, it doesn't matter. But it's money that you will never see and you'll never know about. Because it gets, like you said, this is why people hate lawyers. Because if there's one thing that attorneys
not me, people don't hate me.
I didn't say they hate you. But if there's one thing that attorneys are really good at, especially unethical attorneys, they will wash anybody's money.
You recently asked me, like, how many attorneys do you think
are on the level
or not? What did I say?
You said it's split.
I said it's probably 50-50.
So for every lawyer that's doing the right thing, there's a lawyer who's skirting the law.
I wish I didn't think that. But my life experience tells me that. And that's sad to me.
It is sad. And what's even more sad is that of all the issues, the core issues that we fight for in this country that are coming to the surface now more than ever, it has to be the issue of healthcare. Because this is not even debatable anymore.
No.
You now have, as a result of the entire COVID scam, and what I mean by scam is this idea that you didn't actually have to have any requirements. Like they proved that the most deadly pre-existing condition to the COVID virus was having diabetes. And that
all these booster commercials are infuriating.
Look at listen, Travis Kelce, I'm looking at your
seriously. I was going to say, every celebrity that is whoring themselves for big pharma right now, I will not forget that. Like it is not going to age well.
Absolutely insane.
It's just not going to age well.
And so
we see you now.
And so if you had diabetes, if you had any type of pre-existing condition that statistically would show that getting the COVID vaccine, especially and we're not talking about Moderna. You got the Pfizer one, right? I got Pfizer. Pfizer was the only one that probably has the least amount of side effect issues, but the amount of issues with the Moderna vaccine, well, listen, I think a lot of people feel that way.
I only did it to go to the concert I wanted to go to.
I only got it because I couldn't travel.
Well, I wanted to see Jackson Browne and James Taylor.
Once it was proven that you couldn't actually, that the virus couldn't, you couldn't stop the transmission of the virus by getting the vaccine. At that point, you had to stop forcing people to get this shit. But by doing that, what you have proven beyond any doubt is that the only way you prevent something like this from ever happening again is if you have a single payer universal healthcare system. You must remove private insurance and big pharma from the equation. There's no other way. They will always figure out a way to fuck you over and get rich doing it.
I held strong for a long time, I'd like to say. I held strong for a long time, but it was Jackson Browne with James Taylor.
Jackson Brown with James Taylor, Sable. There you go. It was Jackson Brown with James Taylor.
Together.
That was it. Was it worth it?
We'll see. I don't know. Whatever the side effect, I haven't had any like horrid side effects that I have noticed from having the vaccine, but I don't know if it's worth it. But it was a really good concert.
So the reason we're bringing this up is we're going to play you one clip today, but it's very important because a man by the name of Brigham Butler went on with Joe Rogan the other day. He is a former top executive at I don't remember which pharmacy. I think he'll mention it, which pharmaceutical company he was working for. But he basically explains how, from working on the inside, whether during the pandemic or not, that our for-profit health system is a scam of all-time scams.
We should get him to come on and invite Wendell Potter on at the same time.
That would be wonderful. So
clinicians don't.
We knew this.
But this is a lot of common sense that not a lot of people know about. And when you're able to get, and this particular clip on Rogan that just dropped today already has over 1.5 million views, which is great because there are a lot of people that are not aware of just how corrupt our for-profit health system really is. Stop saying healthcare because it isn't about care.
No.
It's about profit and only profit. And if that means, as he's saying, our goal, even if it means you have to die, is to make money. That's it. That's simple.
If I can stall it long enough.
That's it. He just said it. He said the only thing that fucking matters is this quarter's profit line. That's it. Nothing else. And until you remove this component from our health system, we're all fucked. And there are people out there who champion. I was naive at the time when Obamacare passed, and I thought that this was something that, all right, maybe we'll get some. There was one improvement and 10 things that made it worse. You had pre-existing conditions waived, and that was it. But the for-profit component
is still there
exponentially under Obamacare. It got even worse.
Yeah.
And so when people try to defend, oh, well, no, more people have cut. Remember, the only people who will tell you that everything's fine are people who live comfortably.
It's not healthcare. I just say the health industry. We just say the health industry.
Which is what it is.
Because I don't know what else is.
Major.
There it is. There it is. You no longer have the right to think. You're going to just do what you're told. And if you don't do what you're told, we're going to kick your ass out and find somebody else. It's like that guy, the chunky balloon guy whose last name happens to be Fauci, who did a land grab in the West Bank. And they confronted him and they said, well, you stole this person's home. Well, if I didn't take it, somebody else is going to take it. So the attitude is, if you don't do what we tell you to do in this for-profit health system that we have, if you even attempt to speak out against what we're doing, we'll kick your ass out and we'll put somebody else in. You know why? Because we'll pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to do what we tell them to do. That's it. When you have more money than God, you can bribe anybody. And the problem is that some people are really cheap to buy off. Some people you don't even need to pay that much money. You get slimy fucks that I see on social media all the time, literally jerking off to Joe Biden, and you only have to pay them a few $1,000s a month to tell everybody how great he is.
Yeah.
Pretty cheap. That's a cheap whore,
That's horrifying. Not surprising, but horrifying.
So here's one thing that I want to share that I don't know if I've ever mentioned before. I never took ivermectin. I don't really care if people take it. But the one thing that I never forgot when this was a thing, particularly when Trump suggested that maybe taking ivermectin if you can't get
he also just said people should drink bleach.
Well, that's true. There are stupid things that he will say. But the one thing that was constantly repeated when it came to the issue of ivermectin was this idea that ivermectin is horse dewormer. Yes, it's horse dewormer, and there's a human form of ivermectin. And this idea that now, were there perhaps certain instances where somebody took horse dewormer?
Oh, there were.
Yeah, but this idea that there's no such thing as human ivermectin, ivermectin is used by billions of people around the world. In fact, I think it's like one of the most common forms of medicine in Africa. So the idea that you felt the need to tell people you're going to take horse paste if you take ivermectin, the only reason you would say that is because you have this for-profit system that literally has it in a stranglehold, that if you don't do exactly as we tell you, we'll end you. Like, that's their attitude. Now, we had to get past that point, But here we are now. That's why 65% of oncologists' profit comes from chemotherapy. They want you to die. And if you survive long enough that we could take as much money out of you as we possibly can. Am I wrong?
No, but when I see that, I also look that the root of that problem is pharma, not the oncologists. It's the cost and the price and the chemo and all that stuff. And yeah, they want to keep people alive, but to treat people. And I mean, look, I've been saying this for years. Cancer is extremely profitable. They don't want to cure cancer, this is one of the reasons, and I say it all the time, I don't do disease curing donations. I don't race for the cure, run for the cure. I don't do anything for the cure. I don't donate.
Come on, you don't stand up for cancer?
I don't stand up for
kind of a selfish person.
I don't do any of those things because the reality is all those are slush funds for big pharma. And by the way, we're already subsidizing them anyway. The problem with those kinds of things, and that's the same thing I say, this is why I don't do that with, like, other than St. Jude's. I do support St. Jude's, but that's different.
Oh, you're a hypocrite.
Well, no, because that gives money to families whose kids are there. And I know people who have to go to St. Jude's because their kids.
St. Jude's has a pretty good reputation from what I understand.
It's not, for me, it's just about you're helping people get through the worst thing they've ever been through in their life. But it's not about, finding the cure. That's not, that to me is just the pharmaceutical companies taking more money than they already get from us. And they take it for us in the NGO sector.
And this is a big part of it.
They don't want that. That's never going to happen.
Therein lies the problem, because chronic disease is where you make the most money. Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about the biggest COVID killer, which is diabetes. You have to take insulin every day.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how expensive that is. And when they talk about, this is the one thing that the Biden administration is going to brag about, that they reduced the cost of insulin down to $35
It wasn't them, though.
No.
It was actually Trump.
And then they just took the credit for it.
Yeah,
like
actually, they held it up for a long period of time. So whoever died actually in the interim between Trump doing that and Biden's taking the credit for it, all of those people could blame Joe, because Trump is actually the person who set that in motion.
Yeah.
And then Biden actually, his administration held it up so that he could include it in something else and get the credit for it. So actually, it would have been in effect sooner had Biden not held it up.
Yeah, but let's not let facts get in the way of a good political advertisement. Those
pesky facts. So yes, he did do that. He did that.
I did that.
Trump did that.
So Michael Pan, Democrats don't care about democracy. Neither do Republicans. But that's kind of the system we're in right now.
Here's the thing. You want to know what it is, Michael? Capital doesn't care about democracy.
No.
And that is fundamentally what is wrong here.
If capitalism isn't blended with socialism, you're fucked. You just are. It is survival of the fittest. There is no way.
Because as long as capital is in charge, you're going to continue towards authoritarianism.
If you look at the most successful nations on the planet, without question, Germany, Scandinavia, Japan, Australia, they all have mixed economies. They have a combination of capitalism and socialism. That is the only reason they thrive. Because they understand that you need to have a social safety net with a free market. If you don't have it, you have nothing. Scandinavia doesn't even have a minimum wage. You know what they have? Incredibly strong unions.
Yeah, they've got like 90%
unionization.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Double K, I know we said we love you, but hey, listen, if you want me to do like
you gotta include like what it is you want.
Yeah.
Like,
do you want me to beat Bill? Do you want me to beat Trump?
No, you already built it.
No.
Maybe she's sparing us that.
Thank you, Bill Frist, among others. Thank you, Firmware. Always great to have you. And of course, Nadia.
You know who that is? That's Chip.
Chip.
That's Chip. He's Firmware.
Yes, Chip.
That's his dog. What's his dog?
Nadia, Sala, 2004, estimated the black budget then to be 1.1 million American trillion annually. There's also an official plunge protection team to prop up this. Of course, there's a prop team to prop up the stock market. Just like and then the Pentagon audits. There is no such thing as auditing the Pentagon. That's not happening. Because then you would really discover just how absolutely broken the system really is. But the one thing that I think most people can't sink their teeth into without question is the fact that we have a broken health system in this country. And that it absolutely
it isn't broken.
Survive.
It works perfectly. It's working exactly how it's intended to work. It's working very
perfectly. For the shareholders.
Well, yes, it's very profitable. That if you have a capitalist health system, then I think you would look at ours and say it's working splendidly, because what you're basing that on then is like shareholders.
Yes.
So
but
it's working very well for them. I think that works great.
Everything in this country
if
is
only
based
I
on
were a
shareholders.
shareholder.
If
only I were a shareholder. If only I owned shares of something.
Why do you think these mega corporations like Amazon, like Walmart, anybody, I mean, those two, Tesla, why do you think that they move heaven and earth to convince you that organized labor, specifically forming a union, is a bad thing? Don't do that. You don't need it. You don't need that. We take good care of you. We care about you. The Tesla argument is the best one, because if you look at what UAWs did, they are now making more than double what a Tesla worker makes. Try defending that, Elon Musk, because you can't. There is no defense. He is a douche.
He's a total douche.
And he's bald.
So the other thing we were going to talk about today that I think is very important, and for anybody, I think we're on day 85 of the Palestinian genocide. And one of the things that has recently come up is that South Africa has filed a suit in the International Court of Justice against Israel. Thanks, Chip.
You're damn right.
So the fact that South Africa, for people, and I remember, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. So I remember that going on and the boycotting and divesting and Nelson Mandela being incarcerated and apartheid. Like, I remember all of that. And so right now we're living in the apocalyptic universe wherein that country is suing Israel for violations of the Genocide Convention. Now, ironically, because I would have actually assumed Israel decided not to partake in the Genocide Convention, but in fact, Israel is a party to the Genocide Convention. So South Africa is suing Israel about its violations of the Genocide Convention in the International Court of Justice, to which Israel is accountable. Now, we all know that those things generally don't have teeth. There's no repercussions. Oh, that's so nice. 52, baby. I'm 52. So this is a huge thing for me. Like, as somebody growing up during South African apartheid, now that and being a Zionist, growing up a Zionist during South African apartheid, I am now watching what was the apartheid state suing what is supposedly the only democracy in the Middle East. That's ridiculous. Under the Genocide Convention. So that's a pretty big thing going on. And, whether just the fact that that's happening is very, impressive to me. So that pleases me. And while Israel is not a party to the International Criminal Court, they don't participate in that, nor do we anymore, because they wanted to actually reprimand Israel for being an apartheid state. So instead of, listening to that, we just said, well, we're just not going to be with you anymore.
The New York Times, of all the publications, the warmongering New York Times themselves, says South Africa accuses Israel of genocide in a UN court.
I am offended by that headline. South Africa is not accusing Israel of genocide. Okay. Israel is committing a genocide, and South Africa is suing them for their violation of the Genocide Convention under that specific law.
Israel's foreign ministry said the filing was a despicable and contemptuous exploitation of the court. Well, if any nation would know a thing or two about genocide and apartheid, it would definitely be South Africa.
But if and this just, it's interesting that because I don't read the New York Times. I don't generally read our state-sanctioned nonsense.
No, but I do think it's important when you're trying to get to the particular...
Accused Israel of genocide. No. First of all, let me be very clear that Joe Biden, Anthony Blinken, and Lloyd Austin are all currently also being sued for contributing to a genocide. That the fact that it's a genocide is no longer debatable. This is ridiculous.
Allegations of war crimes by both Israel and by Palestinian militant groups in territories occupied by Israel in 1967 are already under investigation at the International Criminal Court, which is independent of the UN, thank God. But the impact of that investigation is unclear because Israel is not a member nation of the ICC and does not recognize its jurisdiction.
Exactly, which is why South Africa suing Israel under the Geneva Convention in the International Court of Justice is different. That's why this is something that, and they know that it's valid because Israel is a party to the Genocide Convention. This is not going away. And there will be a reckoning for this politically in multiple locations. But this is, I'm very happy that South Africa is doing this. I think it would be better if more countries joined in, because really this should be a class action type situation on a global scale.
More than 20,000 Palestinians have died in Gaza since the war began on October 7th, according to Gazan health authorities. A Hamas-led attack on Israel that day left an estimated 1,200 people dead, Israel officials say. In a statement on Friday, the Israeli government said it has tried to limit the impact of the war on civilians. Yeah, they've tried really hard.
Yeah.
And accused South Africa of cooperating with Hamas. See, there's the trick.
Yeah, because you just said
organization
they're a terrorist organization
that is calling for the destruction of the state of Israel.
Oh, yeah. So the New York Times, this is one of the reasons I wouldn't read that.
Swill.
It's swill. It is definitely swill-like. But I think that, they can keep trying to turn this and put as much lipstick on this pig as humanly possible, because that's ultimately what they're doing. They're still sitting there and making it be like it's an alleged genocide. They're accusing them of genocide. They're still talking in a way that the rest of the world is we're 80 days past that. Okay? Yeah. We're 80 days past that. So we all now know what is happening. And by the way, Israel has been very clear about what it's doing. The leadership over there has been extremely clear in what their intent is. They don't even discount what they're doing in any way. And the amount of footage that's out there about showing IOF soldiers, showing what they're doing and how they're behaving and how they're treating people. There will be a reckoning for this. There will be.
Michael's right.
Oh, absolutely. That's the thing. People don't realize that, I think, a lot over here. He's in a worse position there than Trump is here. And so every day that this goes on, every day that this goes on is another day Netanyahu sort of like prolongs his existence. And so I do think in that regard, he's very dangerous.
And I tell you, if there ever was a time where you should have somewhat of because most things in politics are done through fear and irrational thought process. But if there ever was a time where having the thought process that some, maniacal leader would ever consider the use of nuclear weapons, Bibi Netanyahu is the type of person who would do it. That's what I think.
Well, and it's not far-fetched. I mean, their ultimate goal has always been to get us to go to war with Iran. We know that is what Israel has been pushing forever and a day.
And Hezbollah's prepared to start, attacking Gaza in the north.
Yeah. And it won't take much then to get like Turkey in the mix. And then the next thing you know, it's just all over. Look, we had Colonel Wilkerson on talking about this, but his prediction is that Israel will not be a state. Not that the land won't exist and the people won't exist, but that it will not exist as a Jewish sovereign ethno-state. And at some point, and he predicts that'll happen within the next 18 years or so.
It's not what it once was, but there are still way too many people, especially older people, that believe in American exceptionalism, that we simply cannot do anything wrong, and that we are the world police, and that we must have 800 bases around the world, even though the other two global superpowers have a combined 30 bases around the world. It's so ludicrous at this point.
We're the only ones that are buying it. What's happening right now is actually a very, very scary isolationist position that we're putting ourselves in with the rest of the world, and how the world perceives us. And when I say us, I don't mean Americans, because unlike us, the rest of the world is actually really better at differentiating us from our government. We tend to hate all people in countries because of something that their leader does. So that's our ignorance. Other countries aren't like that, fortunately for us people. Places that you would never think people would like us.
Henry is correct. If you guys have not seen the South Park creators, Matt Stone and Trey Parker's movie, World Police, from, I think it was like 2004.
Jason is a fan. I'm not. That's not.
It's funny.
It's like
shit.
The puppets.
Yes, it's funny. It's hysterical.
But yeah, we're the world police, and I think that, and this is something I recommend to everybody. I watch news from make sure that I hit pretty much every other continent in terms of an independent news source. I have I'll watch news from China, South America. I watch news from, Electric Intifada, all over the place. And when you look at how the world thinks of us, it's not good.
No,
it's not good. And we are putting ourselves, and it is a lot because of Israel, that we are putting ourselves in a much more precarious situation. I think we're going to see increased terror attacks here. That's something I predict for 24. I think that, we are putting in ourselves in a very, very dangerous situation in the world and in the vision of the world, how we look and how we're perceived. And no, empires don't last forever. So as we're on our way out, it might behoove us to not look like we do in front of the world, because at some point we won't be the ones in charge. And it's very pathetic to me that this is sort of how we're going out.
Yeah. Well, usually you go out with
a genocide.
Not even that. You're not going to go quietly. And that's sort of how the American empire is falling apart as we speak, because people have lost faith in the government and in the political process.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah. Could they?
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, your shirt's coming too. As soon as I get Teresa's address, you and Chip and Teresa, everybody gets their shirts. Happiness for all. Okay, here we go.
Well, look, if the world is going to come to an end, I just hope they don't blame me. It is not my fault, Jen. I did the best I could. Okay? Listen, I did the best I could. But being American.
I don't. You know what? I was really, and everyone knows this, I've always been very defensive of you. I know, because I think that you did take things to another level for us, and I do appreciate that. But this thing with the ceasefire is never going to go away from, I feel like you're killing.
Temporary ceasefire, but I still said it. I'm just saying, I definitely said a temporary ceasefire.
My opinion of you is deteriorating by the minute. It's not a good look. I'm just, yeah.
Look, I come here to wish you all a very happy new year. It's not been a good one, and next year probably won't be any better, but I try to maintain some level of positivity. I do not support MMT yet, but maybe if you tell it to me 10 or 12 more times, it might come around. Eventually I might recognize that reality. Look, I'm not perfect. I just hope that I inspired other people to take up the political revolution that I will not be taking up at this age that I'm at right now. I'm in my 80s. I'm not spring chicken.
Just respond in Patreon, Teresa. Just reply on Patreon.
We really appreciate any and all support that anybody is going to give to this wonderful channel. Remember, it is about generational change. That is what's happening, right? Generational change.
We're trying.
And so for those of you that are here, we are very grateful. This has been a very trying year for many people. And even though I haven't been the best on the issue of Israel-Palestine, I should be better, but I'm not. That's why I tell you all the time, it's not me, us. It's not me, us. You can't rely just on me to be the person to tell you exactly what to do. I am not a deity. I am not Donald Trump. He loves that role. I don't. I prefer to be left alone on Lake Champlain with my wife, having a nice glass of wine, watching the fish, having a good time. That's my idea of fun. May not be your fun, but it's my fun.
Yeah. I'm just disappointed.
I'm disappointed too. I should have been a lot tougher than I was. I shouldn't have allowed the Democratic Party to completely rig the primary against me. And as you can see, because I didn't speak up the way that I needed to, they have now completely debased the electoral process. And now it looks like Trump is going to get back in again in 24. And that's not good. That's not good for the country.
Well, talk to your friend Genocide Joe. Genocide Joe.
He ain't no friend.
No. And let me tell you, that name's going to stick for a bit. I'm gonna hold on to that for a little bit.
It will.
Genocide Joe.
And Double K, you've been way too lovely and way too sweet, and we appreciate you very, very much. Yeah, I mean, again, we're not obviously. So what can you be happy about with that?
Kudos to South Africa. I'm gonna end on that.
Yes.
Kudos to that's the I'm glad to see that happen.
South Africa is definitely.
And New York Times, you can spin it any which way you want to.
Yeah. Well,
the whole world sees it. The whole world sees it.
Well, that's specifically why I picked them, because they're always protecting, and you can't You can't dance around it anymore. You could try.
Now, they used all the proper wording. Okay, accused Israel of genocide. They didn't. I don't have to accuse them of it. It's happening. We're watching it live time. The evidence is daily. I wake up every morning and check to see what Bizan puts out on Instagram. She's keeping track of her life in a genocide so that we can all see it up close and personal. And I have been watching
lots of word salad.
Babies being pulled out of rubble every single day now for the past like 85 days. Yeah. And it's just.
Nadia, you're absolutely right. The climate is going vertical and with big risk of famine. And that is exactly what's happening to the Palestinians. They are going to suffer through starvation, disease, and famine. That's what's coming. And
that's happening now. You already have, there've already been children that have already died of hunger.
Of course.
That's already happened.
Well, they say that as many as 600,000 people could die of hunger. And so when people talk about, oh, well, only such and such, people have actually died. It's 20,000, it's 30,000. Oh, they're always repopulating.
Still a genocide.
It is.
Still a genocide.
And you can't talk your way around it. You could try. But it was so obvious from day one what was happening. It's so obvious right now what's happening.
But here's the thing is that leadership in Israel has been saying that's what they're doing. I don't understand people. When someone tells you what they're doing, believe them.
Look,
it's not even a secret over there. First of all, in Israel, they often have used the word apartheid. They know what they have there. So it's no different with this. They know what they're doing. They know they're ethnic cleansing. They've been ethnically cleansing for years and documenting it and calling it ethnic cleansing. That's not even a secret.
Jessica Mai wants to know, who do you watch? Is it a YouTube channel from Palestine?
Oh, you know what? I actually recently took a photo of Jen's daily news source because I thought somebody might be interested in Jen's daily news source. So I did take a picture of what is my regular.
Sam, thanks for checking in, my friend. The thing that people love to do now is say that the death toll numbers are exaggerated, of course. And even it's amazing. It's like, well, they didn't kill 25,000. They killed 23,000. So don't complain. It's not as bad.
Yeah, I refuse to argue about that kind of stuff. That's just stupid.
Of course.
It is. It's just stupid. So, guys, my go-to, I don't know why I'm not able to find it right now. I had even made a slide of it because I thought people might be interested in Jen's news sources. But my go-to news sources are Democracy Now!, PBS, NewsHour. That's just for like generic world global news. I do the Electronic Intifada. I watch a show on YouTube called People's Dispatch. That's out of India, and I really like them. They do great work. I do Breakthrough News with Rania and Eugene. I also do it's South China Post, South China. I don't know. It's a South China news source that I watch that, and I also watch Telesur. Telesur is a really good source for really understanding what's South American perspective on what's going on in the North.
You're absolutely right, Ro. There is no question that any type of plight, any type of austerity is always good for the oligarchy. And Red Cloud, yes, Abby Martin is definitely one of the best out there.
Oh, Empire Files for sure. I have a lot of shows that I watch that I would say are like supplemental to my regular news, and she's definitely one of those sources for sure. She's, look, I'll go through the real news with Max Alvarez. I do Status Coup for domestic stuff. I do Breakthrough News. I do People's Dispatch, Electronic Intifada, Telesur, China, and I also do a TV Munich. There's also a German channel that I it's like called Activision Munich or something like that, Munich TV. But you rotate among continents. I strongly recommend.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Carla. What, did you see that Double K treated us so nice? And now do you have to jump in?
Love you, Carla. Thank you. So yeah, I tried, and I know I must be forgetting some, but definitely you got to watch Real News Network, Breakthrough News, Status Coup. Yeah. But yeah, there's certain regulars, but check different continental news outlets. And Electronic Intifada is excellent. All right, that's if you want to know really what's going on in Arabic world, the Electronic Intifada is one of the better like kind of regular resources.
We are finally going to interview a candidate for political office.
Oh,
and
it'll be
we
our
are
first
going to be-
interview of the year.
First interview of the year. It is going to be on Tuesday, January 2nd at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We are interviewing Hill Harper, who is running for the U.S. Senate in Michigan. He is the gentleman that was offered $20 million to run for Congress against Rashida Tlaib by one of Israel Lobby's biggest donors.
It was AIPAC.
No, it is not AIPAC.
It wasn't
AIPAC? It is a donor of AIPAC, but it wasn't,
okay.
it wasn't
the
AIPAC
organization.
itself.
Okay.
Correct. Which is important. You have to keep that in mind. That is very
yes,
important.
no, facts matter.
Facts, hey, facts don't care about your feelings.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? That's important.
Fuck your feelings.
Yeah, well, I don't go that far. I just say facts don't care about your feelings.
And here's the thing. I really don't care about people's feelings either.
No, because the facts really are what they are.
Yeah.
You don't have to like them. And for those that are extremely generous or can be generous in any capacity whatsoever.
Did you run all patrons?
I did.
Okay.
Please go over to patreon.com/generational change. For as little as $5 a month, you can become a supporter of our small but mighty channel. We thank Status Coup for inviting his audience and guys being aware that our channel, which is heavily suppressed, is going today, which is why we have.
We're a good compliment to your Status Coup viewing.
I think we are.
Because we don't compete with that in terms of anything. We're a good complement to your status coup rotation. We always do in-depth interviews. We generally cover all sorts of topic-based things. We try to stay out of hackery. What else?
I think we covered even on the fly today, but I did want to talk about this guy Brigham.
Are you back to that
Joe
again?
Rogan. No, I'm just saying that was something I definitely wanted to talk about today. And obviously, we needed to address what was going on with South Africa coming out against Israel.
And today we got the bonus because we were able to talk to Gabriel Shipton of getting an update on Assange, which everybody should also be keeping track of that. The date was in February when the hearing is. So, but yeah, we'll be covering that a lot more going forward. But yeah, we can't look away from that.
For those who donate $25, remember you get yourself the Generational Change T-shirt or jersey.
You get either or. And then the other thing is what we have coming up on the 8th is also very interesting. We're going to be talking with Catherine Bogan. And if you guys aren't following Kate Bogan on Instagram, highly recommend her. It's just a really good account to be following. This is somebody who grew up in a very Zionist and a very observant Jewish family, and is now still now she is an anti-Zionist, still observant Jew, and she's somebody who is getting her PhD and studying generational trauma and this kind of affect that it has on what's going on. So I think she's a very interesting person in her perspective on this.
Thank you very much, Carla. And of course, you guys, Russell and Keaton, we tip our hat to them.
Of course.
They have hit the threshold. They are now a viral channel. They get a tremendous amount of support. And we are very grateful that they give us a shout out on a regular basis. We would love to have their numbers, but in the interim, we appreciate all of you that help us grow our channel, because it really does make a difference. We've had
Kevin Gostolo on multiple times. In fact, Kevin Gostolo is one of my all-time favorite Festivus guests. We had him on last year for Festivus, and he came with a literal physical written list of grievances.
Credit to Crystal Ball as well. She did that too. She had her list. And that'd be nice, people at least letting what is important.
But yeah, whenever there is an update on Assange, we generally do reach out to Kevin and have him come on and tell us what's what. I mean, I have on occasion reached out to Gabriel, but it is hard to coordinate. And he lives in Melbourne.
Melbourne
is how he says it. Now, again,
Melbourne, Australia.
No, don't.
Australia.
Just don't. No, just don't.
No, I'm going to tell you, it's like I'm from
Australia. And so both him and
shout out to Ariana Negron. Welcome to the YouTube membership. We really appreciate
any
you.
relation to the Negrons of oh my God, I'm losing my mind. Yeah, I know, but it's just funny because it's Three Dog Night. The lead singer from Three Dog Night was Chuck Negron.
It'd be pretty good if they
Chuck
were related to
Negron.
that. Chris Garrett, an amazing supporter of the show. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. And thank you to every one of you who have been
really appreciate
amazing supporters today. We really are going out this year with a bang. As you know, we are about transforming politics into service. Big things coming in 2024. And I don't say that to be hyperbolic. There are big things that will be coming from us.
Big things coming.
Really incredible, tremendous things.
No, we're working on a few projects. We're working on a few projects that might be of interest.
You might like them. You might like them. That's not a knife. That's a knife.
That was a great movie, but it never needed a sequel. That was the problem.
I thought that the sequel had its moments too.
No,
but
never needed a sequel.
No, it did. The way that it ended was perfect. If you haven't seen Crocodile Dundee and you haven't seen the ending of Crocodile Dundee, that's one of the better endings of a film.
I've been seeing a lot of movies lately, which is weird because I feel like I saw one movie post-COVID, and then like within the past 2 weeks, I've seen like 4 movies in the theater, which is crazy. I've seen a lot of good stuff, and I've been binge watching that Lawman Bass Reeves on Paramount Network.
Well, thank you. You don't like my music. At least I get that one. You don't like my Liverpool? If I could sound like
no, just no.
Just remember, you all have to be.
So
you have to be. Jen,
no, not Melbourne, Florida. That's Melbourne. I'm saying
Melbourne, Australia.
No, they live in Melbourne, Australia. They say Melbourne in Australia. He says Melbourne. I'm not gonna,
you all have to become supporters of the small but mighty channel.
We are small but mighty.
But it's important. We have to bring the Republicans and Democrats together.
No, they're not coming together. We need to get rid of them is what we need to do. We need to get rid of them.
We have to eliminate the party system.
We need to eliminate the party system.
Have you all paid attention? Make sure you do it.
I mean,
and do it now.
Really, what we're trying to do is we're dismantling the duopoly, but the reality is I'm totally happy not having any parties. Like I've said that so many times. I don't see the point.
The only way you're going to destroy the 2 parties is if you get to the chopper and you get on with me and I'm going to take care of it. It's going to be great. We're going to shoot it down. We're going to shoot down the 2 parties. They're going to destroy themselves. And I'm just going to stand on top of them and go boom, 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 and they're all done. And then I'm going to stand over them and say, now you are one.
You want to see us talk to Steve Cronkite? We just had Steve on Thursday.
Yeah, if you we'll have clips up.
Steve was on Thursday. Well. That's so funny that you said that. We talked to Steve plenty. First of all, and we love Steve, and Steve knows that we love Steve. But he gets curmudgeonly, he gets grumpy, and he also doesn't do well past a certain hour. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Karen, that is great to hear, and thanks for showing up, Karen. And yes, for somebody who has diabetes, you are the person who should get the vaccine because it is a deadly virus for people with certain types of pre-existing conditions. But this idea that everybody needs to get one is not true. Because there's a lot of money to be made.
Well, and the truth is I said that from the very beginning of this. I don't trust anything with a profit motive. So, and that's the problem. It's very boy who cries wolf with so many things because there are things that probably have been and will be legitimate, but I'm not going to believe them. It's like, you can only play that lie so many times and it really does totally like discredit an industry. I am not
No, you definitely find me funny.
No, Travers is just trying to push my button.
And I also want to tell you that my favorite movie that I made over the years is not The Running Man, but that's a very good movie too. That really hit the spot. I really enjoyed making that movie. And if you tell me what you think my favorite one-liner is, I might say it for you. Do you have one? Do you have a favorite one-liner?
No, I have a favorite Arnold movie though.
What's your favorite movie?
Twins.
Oh, well, that's a great movie. I love working with Danny DeVito.
That's my favorite Arnold movie.
I did nothing.
But I'm not into
the pavement was his enemy.
I'm not into the whole, like, I never, and the thing is, I haven't seen so many movies that everyone would think you would see. I've never seen The Terminator. I've never seen Total Recall. I've never seen Conan. I've never seen any of those movies. And I can blame my dad mostly, and no offense to you, but my dad was really much more of a, like, Bronson, Stallone.
Drive. But my favorite movie of all time has been brought up in the chat. It is my super smash hit holiday movie, Jingle All the Way! No, that's actually not my favorite movie.
Oh.
But if you're going to see one movie by me, I recommend you go out and you see Total Recall. Because I really have my greatest comedic one-liners.
Yeah, I'm not. Movie. I don't. That's not my vibe. I never saw True Lies. I'm just not.
True Lies is a great movie.
I'm not. I've never been into. Like I've never had a problem with Arnold. Like I don't have a beef with him. I don't care one way or the other. But it was just never my thing.
Sam wants you to know I had a group of people from that organization I was texting you about today. Gang up on me for supporting back in the day.
What we're gonna have to know some details about that. I'll be expecting a text as to who those people are, and I'm sure. Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. I want to know who that was.
Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. This has been an amazing hour and 15 minutes. Talk about tight, but getting the job done. Sable Miner, JD Party Hat, Henry Kajawa, Michael Cooper, Chris Garrett, Aranyan Negron. Both of you, thank you so much for becoming new YouTube members of Generational Change. Notary, thanks for checking in. Sam, of course. Ray J, you don't like my music.
This guy's running for
Travers,
California, 16th.
he's a funny guy. There's lots of funny guys. Nadia, thank you for your contributions.
Everybody.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Karen Harrington, Double K,
Carla.
Danny Wyndham, Carla, Michael Pan, Firmware, Nadia,
thank you guys.
all of you guys. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. And this is why we do what we do. We are transforming politics into service, one person and one show at a time. I think today was pretty good. Happy New Year. We'll see you Tuesday.